You are now listening to Carlie's Couch.
I'm Carlie.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy. This week on Carlie's Couch, we discuss the dangers of needing to be liked. Dun, dun, dun.
She does it after every beginning.
I do.
Y'all be like, all right, it ain't even that deep.
I don't know. This one sounds kind of deep to me, at least.
Yeah, because we talk about like people pleasing and certain things a lot that come down to like wanting to be liked, and a lot of maybe everything has to do with validation to a degree, or can. A lot of things stem from that and that need, which is very valid. So we're gonna talk about it today. But first, what do you do when you need inspiration? What do you do, Carlie?
I go into nature.
Yep.
I like nature, and then I like creating. So if I can cook or paint or do something just to kind of get my creative brain going, that really helps.
But how do you create if you need inspiration? Or that's not what you need inspiration for?
Yeah, that's not what I need inspiration for usually. But nature always helps. Walks, beach, like touching the ground, all those things.
It sure does.
But then also, I don't know, it's just something about the creative act, like doing things with my hands. Like you don't really think because you get lost in your hands. And so that always helps me like clear out of whatever is blocking me and get me in the moment.
Yeah, that is good.
What about you?
When I need inspiration, I like to be outside or anything nature-y, but also I would say I like looking at art. So I'll be like, well, I really just want to find like a really artsy type movie or go to a museum, things like that. Our friends, before we all got so much more busy, we used to have art days every once in a while. We'd just go to a museum and just like, refresh. So, and then the fact that most of my friends are creatives to some degree is cool too, because, you can just have a conversation with somebody and come up with like something inspiring or like, oh, that's a cool idea, or we should do that, or, just kind of refreshing your juices.
Yeah.
That was weird, but
I think that's always necessary. Your creative juices, it makes sense to me.
refresh your juices.
But shout out to y'all because we got a bunch of good responses. So the first one is shout out to the homeboy Asa. He said, listen to the people. As an indigenous man, a lot of my work, decisions, art, passion, and drive, and education stems from my native people. There are many books related to my respective fields and a lot of quotes and phrases in these books that are written by native people. I also practice my cultural prayers using tobacco, sage, cedar, and sweetgrass with my eagle wing as a way to clear my mind and heart of negativity to be able to move negative energy or move forward with positive energy. In my bead work, I cannot bead with negative thoughts or negative energy. So I put the work down until my heart is clear and full of positive energy. Inspiration from my culture is what drives me.
That's so beautiful. That's a word too about how sometimes you need to not create when you're feeling the negative energy. Well, yes, something like that, because he's making something that's like an offering for people and that has that energy in it. And then there's other times I think where we can, like you say you like to create, you can kind of create through and like get to a place that feels good to do something, to release things. We had a few other things. Look for something off the wall to do. I kind of feel that. Like sometimes you just need to do something random and new.
I was say break up the monotony.
So I kind of feel this one too. Clean up, open the windows. Yes, like I love that when you get this window or door open and then this one and the wind comes through and like the breeze. Get my lashes, nails done, touch fabrics at the mall. That's so funny and random. But yes, because when you look good, you kind of start to feel a little bit inspired sometimes.
Sit in the sun and listen to instrumentals.
I know that Andre going hard for you.
Look at pictures of my kids.
I don't know about that one.
It doesn't fit me, but shout out to you and your kids.
Walk spaces where creatives are in abundance. So just being around other people, listening to music, usually on a walk. Music and vibe, take in art, film, music, etc. Write poetry, art galleries. A lot of people, for us to be inspired, it's cool to see other people's inspiration, I guess.
Yep. I also feel this one, serve or be a blessing to others. That also helps me too. And then the opposite side of that is to isolate.
And then, of course,
this is Lexi's burner answer.
Right. St. Lucia, and somebody else says travel. Other friends said the beach.
And then looking through friends' content or finding the most chaotic mix of content to browse through. I kind of feel that too, but I feel like that's part of the breaking up the monotony of things you normally see. So my feed is normally like animals and cooking and stuff like that. And so me finding random stuff to look at.
But I like that now because my feed didn't used to be that kind of stuff. But now I really enjoy looking at like little animals. My explore page really is a bunch of animals and like cartoon strips and comic strips and stuff now. it's like no people anymore, which is kind of cool actually.
Kind of nice. And then
Yes.
the last one on here is to meditate.
Yeah, because sometimes it can help just get the noise out of the way. Sometimes you get like a good idea when you're just like being still, or when you're meditating, or things come to you when you're just like relaxed in a restful state.
I definitely agree that I don't think we're still enough, and sometimes that really is the only way to process things or to let things hit you.
But you know, I actually before we get into the episode, sorry, I hope this isn't gonna be a super long story, but I felt super kind of inspired yesterday, but maybe it's more like gratitude and inspiration with the being there for others, because it was so funny because, and I was telling my brother and I told my friend this too afterwards, I had 2 opportunities to help somebody. And then, you know, this is not something you can like really like talk about on social, because then they're like, why you just want to talk about it? But it's so funny, like when you don't have it yourself. Like I have 4 people who owe me money right now. I'm gonna be straight up. I know you're not hearing this, but I'm gonna clip this piece and post it, and I hope you see it. I need my bills paid. I need my invoices paid. But on that note, I was like, dang, I'm kind of short right now. My money a little low. And I had a meeting, and there was a guy outside of the Starbucks who was like, you know, can you please give me a coffee? And I was like, yeah. Like, if it's like, yes, because I could get you a coffee. And he was like, with a lot of sugar, like diabetes style. I was like, well, do you just want something else, like a regular coffee? He's like, a caramel frappuccino. I was like, yeah, I got you. Because I was like, I didn't really want nothing. But so I got him the caramel frappuccino. He's like, thank you so much. Cool. But like, it feels, you feel abundant, you feel good. I did feel kind of inspired. And then later, I was trying to walk to the store to go grab a single J, because I was like, you know what, I'm still getting my one J, and the place was closed. But as I was walking up there was this other guy who was outside with his dog, and he, you know, and how LA is when folks are outside, like they're really outside. And he was like, can you give me something to eat? And I was like, well, what do you want, something from one of these places? Like, because obviously now my place was closed, I was going to, so it's like, sure, why not? And got him something in the Firehouse Subs, like a sandwich and a lemonade. And then give it to him, like I immediately was like, I will be struggling. But I was like, you know what? I'm walking home right now to, my brother was making me dinner, to having a house, to go to sleep. And in that moment, it was just like, yo, you're always going to be fine. Like, and I felt so inspired. I'm about to cry. Because it's like, yes, like people get it, you know, when you're there. Oh, not the shoulder rub. But it's so funny too, because then I came back and I told my brother about it, because I was like, you know, that just, it feels like a kind of a moment. And he was like, yeah, you know, I had $20 in my pocket one time. I had just got as a tip for something, and I saw somebody, and I was like, oh man, brother, I don't got no dollars. And he was like, I see that 20. And it's like, sometimes you just gotta like,
Yeah, you gotta give it.
And anytime I've gotten a check or something, I always feel like you go from like 0 to having some money, and then all of a sudden you see people, and it's like, here, give it and share it, and I'm, you know, we're good. I'm good. I'm still here. So that it really does feel good. And if you're ever in a bad mood in general, or just like maybe kind of stuckish, for lack of a better word, to go serve, help, be a blessing to somebody else, really, it can kind of inspire you too.
Every single time. So shout out to you. I know you made, sometimes like it's just a moment of kindness can impact someone's world. Like they just need that. And you don't do it for that. You do it just because you out here living. I've seen you, her and I went to go buy a sandwich one time, and we got the sandwich, and we were walking by, somebody asked her for a sandwich and she just gave it to them. We had just bought that hoe too. And I actually would have too, but like she just gave the whole bag, was like, sure, here you go. And it's like things like that. But that's what makes all the difference in the world. And
I've seen other people do that. And I know to even see that also affected me. So that's why it's like, it's so easy to do that. My friend Will, I'm sorry, we're dragging this part, but my friend Will, we were in New Orleans one time, and we had went out to eat, and I had this whole to-go box. It was full of popcorn shrimp. It had everything in it, shrimp, mussels, oysters. And I was like, oyster got hit later. And as soon as we started walking out the place, and some guy was like, can I have that? And I was like, here you go. And we just kept walking. And then Will was like, he about to be so hyped when he looked. I was like, dang, you right. I was like, dang, that was a lot of shrimp in there. And then later, like, we were still talking about, like, man, that man probably still thinking about that meal. We were like, dang, man, that would have hit later. But it's like, if somebody is going to be like, can I have your leftovers? Like,
why not?
I ate what I ate. This is me being extra to take this home. It would have hit and we were like, dang, he about to be like, woo. When he opened that box, we was hyped for him. Like, it was so funny. But I think that, and even like the same day yesterday, I remember the same day we were walking past other people too in Hollywood when I was at meetings, and just to even be like, hey, you know, and it always seems weird to be like, how you doing to somebody who's outside, but it's like,
They're people.
you know, hello, like try
They're
to speak to
people.
them. If you could tell it's not, you know, funky, because sometimes it's the people who are kind of pacing and stuff. It's like, I'm kind of good. And he was like, hey man, be blessed, have a good day. And then the person I was with also was like, yeah, hey, you know, like just talk to them. Cause it's like, yes, these are people.
They're people.
And in the midst of like, when you're feeling kind of low or like really low, like that's an immediate, like, man, I am walking out of a meeting. I just ate. I'm going to do something. You know what I mean? Like, so all that to say, yes.
Do what
helping.
you can when you can.
Helping.
Yeah, because, I mean, you don't lose anything by pouring into others and giving to them. And I feel like it always just comes back tenfold. Like, it always does. So, yes.
I low-key want to turn the rest of the episode into talking about this because we can say some more things. But
I bet say we can.
Nah, let's not do that.
Okay.
But we are talking about needing and wanting to be liked. And we all, yes, we all want to be liked. I think that's fair. We all want to be liked. I think that's instinctual and an innate thing because we are social animals. From the beginnings of mankind that have been seen, recorded, whatever, it's never just a person. It's a community. It's a village. It's a family. People who are protecting each other, different roles. So it's important because to not be liked or to not be a part of a community is to not survive, essentially. That can be maybe slightly a little different today, but it's still a necessity, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that there's a difference. So when we talk about needing versus wanting to be liked, and that's why we kind of wanted to talk about this episode, because I think it's okay to want to be liked. I think that there's a lot of flack about that, like, oh, you shouldn't care. But I think, like you said, at a very base level in our DNA, it is part of our social side of human evolution to want people to like us. That is how we survived back in the day, herd, like living in a herd, hunting and gathering. Like, there's a big piece of us. But I also think it's important because you want your friends to like you want your spouse to like you, and the people you spend your most time with, and that's okay. Like, we're not beating that up.
I also had that conversation yesterday where I was talking to somebody and I was like, you know, like even if we're like not really together anymore, I was talking to somebody from back in the day. I was like, it would be weird if I was like, man, I still want to know, like, you know, do you like me, or like if you saw me, like, dang, would you want to grab my butt? Would you want to like be like, dang, she look good? So you want people to think, okay, cool, you look good, I like you, you're a great person, blah blah blah, and that's what gets us in trouble a lot of times when now we place too much importance in that. Which I guess, does that go into needing people to like you?
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll hop into that in a second. But yes, pin that thought.
I'm sorry, I went too far.
No, you good. I was about to say, pin that thought. So I think, like, you know, even after a relationship ends, if you really love someone or cared for them, like, you want them to still like you. And that is okay. Not judging that.
And nobody wants to be the bad guy. I think that might be
that might be the needing.
That's kind of this. Is it?
Yeah, we'll pin that thought.
Because I think that's more truth sometimes than being like, I want people to like me. More of the truth is I don't want people to think I'm a bad person, or I don't want them to dislike me.
Yeah, and I feel like that's probably fair too. Like a fair assessment. I don't think there's anything wrong with not wanting someone to dislike you, but also I wanted to say, like, I think that it's okay for wanting people to like you, like at your job, like you want to come across as someone who people can work with, who's promotable, who is someone they can think about for recommending clients to. Like, you really want that. And as like a personal trainer, as someone who speaks, like you, and I used to feel bad about it, but my friend Stacey Ann kind of pointed out, like, girl, most of your jobs are dependent upon people liking you. Yes. And that is okay.
And especially like also in the entertainment industry, it's interesting because you'll hear people talk about like, oh, somebody's a diva, or they're like a little bit difficult. But it was so interesting. I'm sure I've told this. I'm going to keep this super quick. But like with them recording the Bronzeville podcast, I remember how respectful everybody was to each other and like, yes, sir. And okay, I'm listening. And I was like, oh, not that I expect everybody to be a diva because they're like a celeb or something, but also I didn't expect to feel like everybody being super like humbling and partners and blah, blah, blah. And I remember hearing kind of somebody say something about like, it's so important because in the industry is small and like the world is small, and to be known and like for somebody to not like working with you, that's
a problem.
Yeah, that can mess up your checks, mess up your opportunities, and there's enough people out here coming to auditions and doing stuff where it's like, well, on to the next.
Yeah, and so all of that to say, it's cool to want people to like you. I think that it becomes a problem whenever you need people to like you, and we're gonna hop into what that looks like. But just like off the top, it's like anything that's to a detriment of yourself, like where you're inauthentic, people pleasing, or always deferring to someone else, like playing small, like those are kind of big signs.
Also, I'm sure needing people to like you if you are ignoring or deprioritizing your own needs, which I guess is the people pleasing or can be. When you need people to like you, you're thinking about other people's needs and not your own, which may be a difference because, sure, I want you to like me, but I'm doing what I need to do, what feels good for me with whatever, work or driving. Like I called Carlie, she got me on silent, but I called Carlie to be like, I was so hungry because I was like, damn, if she said no, I wouldn't have cared at all. But I was calling Carlie because I was like, I really wanted her to pick up a Chick-fil-A sandwich for me so bad on the way coming over to podcast, and she ain't answer. And I was like, whatever, cool. But then I texted her just in case. I was like, she's really nice. Maybe she might actually go and like, don't go because I'm about to cook. But I was like, you know what? I wonder if it's like, well, let me just ignore this or be scared to say like, no. Because if somebody had said no, it wouldn't matter. But if she had gone out of her way, that I would have felt bad.
Well, so then that was the thing. So I was in the process of Googling to see how far Chick-fil-A was
from
the house.
That's why I asked.
But I didn't know that. So I'm like, I'm Googling to see, and then me triangulating, you text me back and was like, never mind.
I texted just in case.
But I actually looked to see.
Aww.
I was trying to see where it is because I don't mind that. But what's funny is I almost brought you breakfast this morning anyways. But the universe worked it all out.
I woke up hungry, dog.
But I think to your point, like, I think that it's okay to consider other people's needs because I do that. I very much consider other people. I don't mind going out of my way when I can, when I got it, like all that stuff. But I think when it becomes a problem is when you do it because you want to appear a certain way and then you start to resent them, or you start to build that up because you want to be the good girl, or you want to be the friend who's always there, or you want to be this thing so bad that you start putting your needs on the back burner and then you start resenting people. And so that's bad. I think that is a bad sign, that you like need someone to like you so bad that you're not prioritizing your own stuff.
And I think that's evidence, and one of the ways that you know that you want people or need people to like you as opposed to want, if you feel resentments. Because a lot of my people pleasing examples or situations, you always end up being upset because it's like, so you can't do XYZ, or like you don't even try to do this, but I make effort for this and then and it's like, and nobody asked you to do all that, and or like you're not doing it for the right reasons if you're expecting reciprocity as well anyway for certain things, instead of just expressing your needs and making a move if whatever the situation is isn't working. So that's one way to tell that you may need people to like you if you're feeling resentments toward people.
I think another way is whenever you have really heightened anxiety about saying no. So like about responding like, hey, I can't come to you. So you just like wait and wait and wait. And then it becomes awkward because you don't want to disappoint someone. But I'm going back to this Viola Davis quote. I'm going to throw it at y'all one more time. You have to get used to disappointing other people so that you do not always disappoint yourself.
Yeah. That's a big one, especially when people ask like to go somewhere or do something. Or
we got to be comfortable.
One time
saying
someone
no.
was like, can you pick me up? And I was like, and I told, it was right after I had just started telling myself like, I really want to make a big effort to not small lie about stuff. Because you know how you be like, yeah, I'm coming from the another direction. No, when I'm at home. Yeah. Because it's easier to do that instead of just being like, no. But then I thought about it, I was like, but the fact that I want to say no is like, why do I want to say no? Like, why don't I want to do it? And then I actually got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, they would do it. Let me go pick them up. But I think that is important for sure, because it's hard sometimes to just be like, say what you want. And I think it's because we think people then will do that to us, or they won't like us.
Exactly.
Reluctance to stand out. So you don't want to go against the grain or be the odd one out. If what you want or need or do is different from what other people are saying they need.
And I think that this is a facet of like playing small. If you notice yourself playing small, not communicating your needs, acting like you don't have any needs, always being the cool girl who doesn't care, any of those things are a sign that you need someone to like you, and most likely at your detriment.
This is funny. Fixation on a person who doesn't like you. That's a big thing, actually. But if you're that person, I don't. It's like they're not aware though, really. Like there's something where you're not seeing what's really right in front of you.
What do you mean?
I think the real evidence is if it's one-sided. Maybe if you're in a one-sided situation where you feel like you're always doing a thing and they're not, like, then I think that means you probably have more of a fixation on somebody than they do for you. And then it could be not malicious too, because there's sometimes people they'll be like think you're their best friend. It's like, you wouldn't necessarily say the same thing. And it's like, that's fine. But also, like, if they're fixated on you, I don't think that's very healthy. It's like they're determined to try to get you to like them, or determined to, I don't know, be in this position of like trying to win you over or something.
I also think this kind of goes with the anxiety piece, because I used to like kind of notice when somebody didn't really like me, because to be honest, like I said, it's part of my job, and I used to be I'm a reformed people pleaser, working on it. But I used to notice for real and be like, I wonder why they don't like me. If it was a professor or like a thing, like I feel like they don't like me. And it wasn't even like a one-sided thing, but I noticed it would like take more time out of my day than it should have.
You're thinking about
and
it
then
too
that's
hard.
the issue. Then that's the issue, and that's something you kind of got to work
And
on
they're not
and
even
heal, because
thinking
it's like
about you.
at all. And it's like, why does that matter? Like, if you have all these people who love you, why you focus on the one person who you just met who doesn't know you and might not even not like you, but you just taking their mannerisms or whatever as that? It's like, why is it taking up so much time and space? So if you find yourself fixated on either one-sided relationships, people taking advantage of you, or like, why don't they like me, and it taking like a bigger piece of your day than it should, then I think that's a sign that you might be like needing folks to like you too much.
Yeah, that's a big sign. Even if you go around thinking that, because like you said, it's not even probably that they don't like you. They just I don't want to say you don't matter, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not on the radar. Like, I don't dislike you. I don't know you. I don't whatever. And sometimes we can be upset if we feel like people don't immediately like
warm up
hype
to us.
it. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know you, like, you cool, but
also then that means you kind of bring in that needy energy, and that almost turns people off of you.
It sure does.
Because then it's like, I don't want to hype you because I feel like you trying to get me to compliment, like, oh man, hey Lexi, you see these, like you trying to get me to compliment something, and that makes me almost not want to give it to you, even if I did want to in the beginning.
You could tell too. Yeah, that's a really good point. That needy kind of energy is very much funky, because I'll immediately be like, I feel like they kind of need me to feel good right now, and I don't like that at all. So that's a good point. So would you say that the needing people to like you is something that you deal with?
Maybe in the slightest now, because I still see lingering things of some of these, like my like needing, or not needing, but like feeling like I overextend sometimes or something like that. And I'm finding balance in that, but only after I've learned what my needs are and become more comfortable with communicating that, with saying no, with having my own boundaries. Am I able to kind of heal from these things and notice the difference? But I'm also learning to sit with the fact that it is okay that I want people to like me. And that's cool. And it is in my DNA, and it's part of my job, and it's okay as a person. It's okay to be disappointed if somebody doesn't. But what I notice is my bounce back time, like, it doesn't take up more time than it should. Like, if somebody is acting funky, it just kind of is what it is. Keep it moving.
It's probably the truth to say I need people to like me, but I would go back to what I was saying earlier. And because that's kind of like, I don't know, but probably it means the same thing. But what does feel like a truth for sure is to say, I don't like for people to, not even dislike, but like, I don't want people to think I'm a bad person. Yeah, I don't want people to think I'm a bad person. And so when I do things, I think it kind of does come from that. Like, I want people to think I'm thoughtful or generous or fun, or, I don't know, whatever it is. And that may motivate my actions. But also another thing that kind of connects with this for me is, and it kind of goes back to one of our recent episodes, I believe. Tell me which one it is once I start talking. But the fact that, because it's something I talk about in therapy recently, was learning to be okay showing up as a messy person, because the perfectionism, when we talked about that.
So for me, perfectionism in relationships.
Yeah, the needing people to like you and the connection with perfectionism that I'm kind of thinking makes sense here is, well, there's a certain reason why you don't show as vulnerable, or it blocks intimacy, or can block relationships, because you want to feel perfect, you want to show up perfect, you want people to feel like you're perfect, and so you're never showing up as the real person. And so I think that's where the opposite of benefits, the negatives come in for me, maybe with that, with the needing people to like you, is because sometimes you're just not being real. And the crazy part about that is when you are vulnerable, or especially if it's like with real friendships and stuff, not to say like be extra with anybody, but like with your real friendships or relationships or whatever, that to show up as yourself is more relatable sometimes, and sometimes people can like you more, or people should/will like you. So it's like that's a kind of a false thing that really more so hurts things than helps.
Yeah, acting like perfect or like nothing is wrong, or always trying to show up as perfect or present a certain way definitely like keeps people from connecting with you. But that leads me to a question and something that you said, like as wanting to come across as thoughtful or kind or whatever. Is there anything wrong with doing things because you want people to think a certain way about you? Or when is it a problem?
I think it's just inauthentic, and it's reason and cause for you to look at why are you doing things and your motivations, because the issue is, for example, if I'm going to get somebody something, I don't, it will be something extra, or it might be $2,000 extra tickets or something, right? In the real scheme of my life, should I do this? Probably not. But also I'm a real fuck it, we ball. But, that's what I mean. Like, you didn't have to do that. You could get somebody a card, but you do the most because you want to make a splash or you want it to feel a certain way. But I also, I also like certain experiences. So I think it's how you feel about it. A lot of times it's like in hindsight, maybe looking at things and being like, I was trying to do too much. I wanted to hear something or get some kind of validation, or I wanted them to do something, and that's where, like we said earlier, when it gets very reciprocal, or if you're doing things needing something, then you're not really doing it from the right place anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, so to give without expectation or to do things without trying to control.
You're doing something for somebody to control them. You're doing something for somebody in order to feel bad. Like in my case, I might do something for somebody and then feel bad because, oh, well, they're not, and you're setting yourself up. Or in this case, I'm setting myself up. And sometimes that, and you want to be upset, or you want to make a point, or, well, I'm doing this. And all of that is coming from the wrong place.
Yeah, so I think taking a step back and looking at, your relationship with people and why you do the things that you do, and be real with yourself. It's okay. We out here learning and growing together. We out messy and chaotic in the best of ways, at least on my side.
Because them same people who I might be doing all this stuff for, really, they just be like, I really just want you to not be as much an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's like, well, I'm not an asshole. I did this, I get it. And it's like, well, you're missing the point of like, what's the actual things that somebody wants. You're not even really listening to what they're saying they want, because it's really about you.
And what you're trying to control.
Yeah, and what you want to feel and what you need out of that.
And so that also might be a sign. I think the differentiation is anytime that, you're, like I said, playing small, you're fixated on getting a certain response from them or having an expectation, but also at the expense of yourself. Like anytime it's at the expense of yourself. And hindsight is 20/20. Like I think sometimes we got to be a little delusional and go ahead and fuck it, we ball and all that. But then like, there's a balance with that, but it shouldn't interfere with the way you live your life and the choices that you meet and your ability. It shouldn't be
anything you're going to regret or resent either.
And your ability, but it can't be like you only resent it because they didn't respond the way you wanted them to. So
that's what it is.
That's the thing.
I be wanting a certain response, and I'm like,
but people aren't robots.
Man, I didn't have to do all this because they don't even care.
People not robots.
Yeah, I be wanting people to shout for joy and stuff, and it's like
exactly what you. But then play Sims. If you want them to do what you want, play Sims. Let them do that.
Sims look like it might be kind of cool. I don't know if I would get into it.
I used to love Sims when I was little. I was obsessed, but I would say just take a step back and look at why you're doing the things. And this is a great holiday season and time of year to do that, because we might be doing the most, trying to get the most from people, but end up getting the least. So make sure you are showing up authentically and advocating for your own needs in these situations.
Yes. And at the end of the day, the most important person to like is yourself. So be sure that you are liking yourself, encourage yourself, empower yourself. And if you're feeling good, then just treating people with respect is more, I think, the key. Instead of coming into things like, I want them to like me or I need them to like me, you liking yourself and you respecting other people. And in that space, I don't want to say how could they not, because they could not like you for whatever reason, but it doesn't matter. Like, you're showing up the way you need to show up. And so whatever happens from there, that's not, your control.
Yeah, so do the best you can. And now that sometimes you have to encourage yourself.
I was like, what song is it?
It's a gospel song. And I was
That's so
definitely doing
funny.
the run version.
Because I was random the other day, like started playing some gospel. I was like, man, this sometimes
It
it don't
hits, though.
hit. Yeah, you be
Cardi
like,
be going
I was like,
in.
yeah. And no, and I don't believe none of this stuff, but but it is like still. I think about it like, yes, you're gonna be okay, or life is good, or you blessed, blah blah blah, and it does feel good sometimes. So every once in a while, you do gotta listen to something.
That's a good one. I was
That's
about to say. So I hope y'all have a beautiful week. Hit us at
Yes,
Carlie's
yes.
Couch. Let us know, where you are on the scale of people wanting other people to like you and accept you versus like you needing them to, and kind of what you're working on.
Yes, and have a good week.
Peace.